Hey guys, it's Bitcoin Schmitcoin here with another update for Bitcoin Magazine's Bitcoin analysis. We'll be starting on the weekly time frame, looking down at the daily, and ultimately concluding with the 4-hour time frame to get a little bit more deeper perspective on the intraday volatility we've been seeing. First things first, last we talked, our weekly candle had yet to close, and we can see quite clearly that we have this reversal candle shaping up. It closed with basically zero body on it. What that means is that for the most part, supply and demand at the beginning and week's end was at a stalemate. And there's no surprise there. We saw this very strong parabolic move upward. And now it's time to take a little breather. This doji started a nice reversal, and we can see here that, this very high spread on our current weekly candle. We still have several days until it closes, but for the time being, it's very strong supply hitting the market. We look at our daily time frame. If you caught my last update, I talked about this linearized parabolic curve I drew, and we had yet to actually break it, and that's what we see here. So all of this stuff right here, when we zoomed out to the weekly, that's what all of this encompassed. And as soon as the weekly candle closed, we saw a very strong reversal on Monday. And it occurred on, not only did it occur on a high spread, we see it occurred on high volume as well. So a lot of supplies hitting the market right now. We can see it's expanding still. There's a little bit of a buying response, but it's a little lackluster, if I'm being honest here. The parabolic retracements that Bitcoin likes to do, we can expect it to retrace anywhere between 50 and 61%. If there's a lot of bullish pressure, even the 38% can be a nice entry. And this 38% lines up really nicely with our weekly level. So keep an eye on this red band as I zoom back out. We can see that the 38% retracement lines right up with that weekly level here. And if things get really ugly, then we'll be drilling our way down here. And I think this will be a nice, logical point of support if things get really brutal. When we zoom into our intraday volatility, we can see that, the parabolic break occurred right here. And that came about with a rejection of this level I talked about in our last update. I mentioned that a failure to hold this level would mean most likely a pretty strong break of this weekly resistance. And that's what we see here. So it was previously support, I broke through, and now it's going to be resistance. We have yet to retest it. I don't know if we're going to get the opportunity to retest it. But for the time being, we're seeing a nice support level hold here and here. And the support level came about with a nice, what's called a swing failure pattern. So we can see here that this low got taken out right here. And it provided a nice bit of stopping action. So we see the swing low, we see a swing high, and because the candle closed above and it took out this low, that's typically a logical resting point for the market. It means that, a lot of stops got run here. People had their stops that were long previously. They got sold into more patient bulls, and the market rallied a little bit. And we can see here that the market is just chopping, right? It's a pretty brutal bit of price action we've had over the past few days. So I personally am not terribly eager to get long here. I'm more interested to see what happens when we hit these untested levels below us. We see a nice untested level here. Several videos back, I mentioned that when we were over here that we'd possibly see a retest, and we never got it. So, although we are seeing some strong volatility, I would not at all be surprised to see us revisit here before any meaningful relief hits the market. And if things get really bad, then it's probably just going to keep going all the way down to this weekly level. So if a relief bounce doesn't occur here, this general zone right here, then it's almost definitely going to come down here and test the $6,900 to $6,700 level. If for whatever reason we start to find support, this will be the zone to watch if you're looking to get long, or if you're looking to get short. this will be the deciding ground for the market structure. If we find support and we rally up here and we reject it, well, then we're definitely going to come down here and see some strong moves to the downside. And if things find support here again and we come back up here and find support, well, then that's great, because that means we reclaimed a macro level. We just had a little minor shakeout in an otherwise strong uptrend. But yeah, for right now, we're kind of in this precarious position because the macro, the weekly and the daily are looking pretty bearish. Not like, bull run ending bearish, not bear market beginning bearish, nothing like that. It just means that we're most likely to seeing a decent correction that could take maybe a few weeks to resolve before we see any buying pressure take place. But for right now, we are kind of holding the support, and if this gives way, then this will be the next logical point of interest. And if this gives way, then I expect to see a bit of relief here, because this has been support 1, 2, and this would be our third test. And there'll be a lot of speculative buying there. So keep an eye out for that level. It's really this band of prices that we're interested in. We see this nice range of prices. And right now, because we blew right through the top of it, it seems logical that the next stopping point is going to be here. So keep an eye out for this, for the intraday levels. But really, the macro picture is the most interesting, because there's going to be some short-term reversals on the intraday, but really what we want to see is strong support on the macro trend. And so far, although we're temporarily taking a pit stop here, there's nothing that says this is like, trend reversing stopping action. So keep an eye out for the intraday levels that I outlined, and if things get really bad and all hell breaks loose, this will be the macro point of interest.